there's a couple cards that I think are going to go up in value as time goes on in this format, and one of those cards I think is Iron Thorns EX, because of the fact that it shuts off a lot of different things that we're seeing right now. Teal Mask, Ogre Pond, we're seeing a lot of things with Terrabox, so like things like Pikachu. This is going to be able to shut off as long as it's in the active, and just a couple other different things that I think are going to be pretty important. One of the other things is like Pidgeot. Another thing that it shuts off is Archaladon is another Pokemon that comes to mind that is kind of seeing more in the format, but also, really importantly, it shuts off Gardevoir, which is really important. But the problem with it is that it needs to be in the active. But we can still get around that with a certain card, and that certain card is Alakazam EX, because of its dimensional hand attack. For 2 Psychic Energy, we do 120, and this attack can happen even if we're on the bench. So we get to utilize the best of both worlds, where we can throw Iron Hands or Iron Thorns in the active and be able to shut off all our opponent's abilities, not have to worry about something like a late game Blood Moon, and just be able to attack from the bench. But we're going to be able to make that a little bit better with Munkidori, being able to heal up our Iron Thorns as well if they're getting attacked into, and boost up our damage, since 120 is a little bit low. But we also get a couple other things that will help us. We have Klefki if our opponent isn't using EXs and they're just using like regular basics. We'll be able to shut those off and be really annoying. We'll have Mimikyu as well in order to help wall out certain decks and be frustrating in that regard. And then again, as our draw engine, we have Xatu. I used to play Barrel in this list. I covered this list about a couple months back, like 4 months ago at the start of the new year. But Barrel's gone, so now I have Xatu. And yeah, outside of that, what we're really looking to do is just be as annoying as possible. We have Unfair Stamp to reset our opponent, be frustrating. We are running the TM Evo, and we're also running Pokégear for Arven, because we want to be going first and getting things set up, but in the event that we can't go first and get that, or like if we are forced to go second, we can go TM Evo on Arven after getting our Abra and like a Natu down, and kind of go from there, which is the easiest turn 2 play to make. We are playing some extra Psychic Energy in order to make sure that our Xatu is powered. And outside of that, we're just playing Ionos and 1 Research for us, so that way, you know, if we need it, we have it. We have Future Booster Capsule and a Rescue Board, and able to move our pieces around if we have to. And like I said, we're just running the Ionos, so we can be reshuffling our opponent, being frustrating and annoying as much as possible. But yeah, that's the list. It's pretty straightforward. Lillie's Clefable also works really well in this deck, because it does give you an extra attacker if you need it, to help keep your Alakazam out of the active. And then also, if your opponent is, you know, going wide, you do have the Mind Jack attack as well, which this is kind of going to be your answer in a Dracopult. You just bring in Alakazam and start attacking with that instead. So you're able to go Mind Jack with the Clefable down, or with the Clefairy down rather, hit it for weakness, be able to KO it, you know, use Munkidori, keep yourself a little bit healthy on the bench, and kind of change up the game plan a little bit. But yeah, that's going to be the list, guys. Just definitely let me know what you think of the list and any changes that you would make to it. It's a lot of fun to use, so I highly recommend giving it a try. The ladder's almost over for this season, so, you know, have some fun while you can and get ready for the next one. But yeah, before we get into the games, I just want to give a special shout out to the channel members. Thank you guys so much for that additional level of support. It really does go a long way. It means a lot, so thank you so much for that. For everybody else, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It does mean a lot, and it helps out the channel, so I really appreciate it. And yeah, I will see you guys all in game number 1 in a moment. Peace. Alright, we're in game number 1, and we're going to be going first. We open our Iron Thorns and a Natu. We do have our Mimikyu as well. We do have Arven. Honestly, going second this game could have been really good. But obviously, we don't get to know what our opening is. But we'll be able to go Mimikyu down. And go from there. Obviously, if we can top deck like an Abra or something, that would be really nice. Or if we top deck like Buddy Poffin, that'd be pretty sweet. Ooh, Dino. Alright, so... unfortunately, none of this really helps us right now. I could play the Mimikyu down, but again, it doesn't really do much for me at the moment. We're probably just going to go TM Evo with Arven, look to get our Natu set up, as well as one of our Abras. Iron Thorns will shut off the Pheasantipity, which is another value of Iron Thorns. The Obsidian play will be a little annoying later, but I don't think it'll actually make that much of a difference. I can go ahead and place this down. Go Arven for Buddy Poffin Evo. I think that's the play to make. Because we go Poffin for this. And honestly, I think just a second Mimikyu. Place this down. Go Evo. Get our Xatu and our Kadabra. And then on the next turn, what we'll be able to do is go Xatu, place the energy onto the Kadabra. There's a runaway draw. We'll draw 2 off the Xatu. And from there, be in a position where we can just either evolve into Kadabra, place another energy down, or just go Iono. And if we can start getting attacks off with the... if we can start getting attacks off with the Alakazam and just start knocking out these Dinos, that would be huge. Now, if they have Rare Candy, here, that would obviously be a minor issue. I don't really care that much about the Giovannis. The Crushing Headbutt here is only slightly annoying because it does, you know, mean we're going to be taking damage. But losing out on these cards is fine. We get an Artazon. We're not going to bother to play that, but it does mean that I don't really want to play the Iono right now. If our Iron Thorns gets knocked out, it's not the worst thing to happen to us. Because in reality, we're... like, I don't want to give them a hand to work with. I'm fine playing this onto the Mimikyu for now, just temporarily. I can get rid of the Iron Thorns. Just give myself 2 more energy. I can always pick this back up. I'm fine taking a turn where our Iron Thorns gets knocked out. If they get a new hand, great. If they don't, the only thing they can really do is go Crushing Headbutt for a turn. They knock out my Iron Thorns, take 2, we bring in Mimikyu. I can start attacking with Mimikyu, and there's not going to be much they can actually do to me. Until I get Alakazam set up. And then from there, what I'll do is I can go, like, Night Stretcher or whatever, pick up the Iron Thorns or just get a new one. That's fine. And be able to... on the turn I'm going to KO this, retreat into Iron Thorns to stop them from being able to use Fez. Alright, perfect. So I can go Energy Attachment to Alakazam, draw 2. We do get our Thorns, which works perfectly. And now from here, we don't even need to really do anything else. We can just go Dimensional Hand. Which, unfortunately, this is going to take, you know, 2 more turns to KO it. But I'm not really that worried about it. There's an Arven. Not totally sure what they would want to go for. Sparkling Crystal. If they have an energy, they can start using Obsidian. They do. But even then, like, they knock out the Xatu and that's it. So they do take a prize card off the Xatu, but we will outpace them in this regard, and the Obsidian doesn't really matter against the Mimikyus. The only thing that's annoying is that we can't play the Abra yet. We're just put in this position that we have to go hand here. Again, they'll go Obsidian, place more damage onto the Alakazam, but at that point we just go Abra down, retreat this out, go Iron Thorns, attack into this, knock this out, it'll shut off the Pheasantipity. And from there we can make a new Alakazam. They go Runaway Draw. Now, ideally, we knock this out, and then we're able to counter catcher this before it becomes another Hydreigon. Bill's transfer. That's interesting. You may discard any number of cards from your hand until you have 5 or 4 or fewer. I feel like that's not very good. Alright, so this is how we're going to play this. Play this down. Play this. Energy attach. Retreat. Bring this in. And then from here, what we'll do is attack with the Dimensional Hand. Do enough damage to knock out the Hydreigon. Take 2 prize cards. We do get a Natu, so we can actually play that down if we so choose. And then, even if this becomes Hydreigon, as long as they don't have Hydreigon Rare Candy Crispin, we knock this out. Or, sorry, if they have Rare Candy, they can knock this out. Or, sorry, evolve that, not knock it out, rather. But, yeah, like, with Pheasantipity turned off, which this is also why we run... We'll put this down. We could go Iono here, but there's really no reason to. We're fine just KOing that. Taking another prize. There's our Unfair Stamp, which is also why we run this. Like, the fact that we can have Iron Thorns here to turn off the Pheasantipity and hit things like Unfair Stamp, Ionos, it's very, very annoying for our opponent later on in the game. So they're going to be able to go Brock Scouting, get themselves a Dunsparce and a Dino. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. We're going to be able to take out, like, we're going to take one KO a turn, more or less. We can just keep sitting here and clicking Dimensional Hand. And abusing basics. There's a Rare Candy from the Hydreigon, but if they don't have Crispin here, there's nothing that the Hydreigon can really do. They could go and get themselves an Earthen Vessel and start placing energies down. That will allow them to build into a, crushing headbutt. If they have a way to get into another dark energy. We get ourselves a Munkidori. We can go Earthen Vessel here, get rid of one of the Iono. Grab ourselves a Dark Energy. We can go Brain and move off the 30 damage here. I could put it onto the Dunsparce, but I don't think it's going to really make much of a difference where I end up putting this, but I guess for now I'll put it onto the Dunsparce. just in the event that they can't get into... just in the event that they can't get into the Dunsparce, there's a chance that I can KO this beforehand. There's an Iono down to 2. Little annoying, but again, not the biggest deal in the world. We get an Iono of our own. There's a Nest Ball for another Dunsparce. We'll keep moving damage. And at this point, it's kind of just a long, drawn-out battle. We'll go Dimensional Hand. Yeah, because even if we had been putting the 60 damage on this, it wouldn't really make a difference. I guess the real difference here is that if I had been putting this damage onto the Hydreigon, then on the upcoming turn, I would have Munkidori to move damage with to get the knockout, and then, like, if I needed 3 prize cards, I could have done that. So yeah, I guess there's value there that I could have done, but it didn't really make a difference. But yeah, that's going to be the game number 1. One of the things that I will say about this deck is, like, it's definitely harder to use. It's not the, you know, cream of the crop, but hold on, I have to sneeze. Just went through the worst sneezing fit. Anyway, the whole thing is, like, its comeback potential because of the ability to, like, reshuffle your opponent so many times and have Iron Thorns in the active to, like, shut off Pheasantipity and stuff can be really, really powerful. So it's definitely a pretty decent attack and, like, pretty decent comeback deck. But yeah, that's game number 1. We'll jump into game number 2 in a second. I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 2, and our opponent's going to be going first. We open Thorns. Oop. We would love to open Thorns. Are we serious? Thank you. Alright, we open Thorns. We also open Arven as well. This is where Klefki would be really nice to have, because Klefki would shut off Rotom, but it's okay that we have the Iron Thorns. It's going to keep the Eevee from evolving on this turn, which, again, doesn't really matter as much, but it will be useful. Obviously, Klefki would have been nice, because had we been able to shut off Fan Rotom, you know, big play. Or actually, Eevee can't evolve this turn, but what actually... It shutting off the Rainbow DNA means that they won't be able to turn this into Flareon, which is actually very important. So we'll be able to go Buddy Poffin TM, go Mimikyu down, Buddy Poffin for this, and another Xatu, I feel like is the, or Natu rather, is the play. Let's make sure that our Kadabra is in the deck. It is. Is there anything else important that's prized? Doesn't appear that way. Ooh, our unfair stamp is. Okay. I think this is fine to do. And then from here, what we can do is go TM Evo, energy down, evolution. Get myself this and this. Now, granted, I do already have Xatu in hand, but this just pulls this from my deck to help thin a little bit more. The Iron Thorns is actually going to turn off the ability for the EVEX to evolve, which is pretty important. And then on the next turn, we'll be able to go Xatu to the Kadabra, help power that up. If they go to, you know, knock out our Iron Thorns, we'll be able to just bring in Mimikyu and kind of go from there. What would be super ideal is if off our Xatu, like onto the Kadabra, we get like another energy and Alakazam. That would be pretty sweet. Or if we get like an Iono, that would be nice. The Latias EX also doesn't work, so they're not going to be able to retreat this. I think their idea was that they would retreat this out, bring in Flareon, go Crispin, start attacking. But that's not going to work because of Latias EX. Also, sorry, I had to mute again. My sneezing is unbelievable this morning. Yep, they're just going to go ahead and concede. Because Iron Thorns just... They don't know how to play around it. That's really funny. Alright, we'll keep this in, but we're going to do a game 3 just because that doesn't really count. But I just think it's funny, so we'll keep it in. But we'll go next. See you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're going to be going first in game number 3. We open Iron Thorns, which, again, is always good. We have our Natu. We do have that down. We see Crispin... See an electric energy. It could be another Eevee deck. We'll see. There's a Hoot Hoot. It's highly likely. Now, obviously, if we could get into our Klefki, that would be nice. We can get into Klefki, but we don't have a way to retreat just yet. So, for now, what I'm willing to do is go ahead and grab Munkidori. Actually, let's see. Yep. I can grab Munkidori here, but what I actually want to do is just grab a second Natu. Now, I guess I could go... Alright, I could have actually... I didn't realize that I had the Future Booster Capsule. I could have gone Klefki, Future Booster Capsule Retreat, and made that work. So, that's an error on my part. But for now, I'm going to wait on playing down the Mimikyu. On the next turn, what I can do is Arven for TM Evo Earthen Vessel, use Earthen Vessel, make myself the Xatu and the Kadabra, then I'll be able to evolve into Alakazam and kind of go from there. Obviously, again, Klefki shutting off the Rotom Fan would have been really, really good, but I feel like Iron Thorns will be more than enough for what I need. But definitely a minor error on my part. Because, again, it would have made sure that they don't have these Eevees to work with, nor the Noctowl for the future turn. So, definitely a mistake on my part. There's the Hoot Hoot. Water energy to the Eevee. We draw into another Alakazam. Honestly, not super great. We'll go TM Evo, Earthen Vessel. We'll Earthen Vessel away this for double energy. Place this down. Go Evolution for 1 and 1. And then from here on the next turn, like I said, I can go energy onto the Kadabra. It's actually funny. This is playing out very, very similar to the last game, except the difference is that Klefki would be more valuable in this scenario. But that is what it is. We will have Mimikyu to be able to replace the Iron Thorns in the event that we need it. We don't really need to retreat it. It's fine. They take the time to find themselves the Switch and Crispin. If they knock out our... Like, if they go for the 280 and knocks out right away, that would definitely be bad, but just because we don't have our Mimikyu down yet. But the Burning Charge, like just powering stuff up, we're not really too worried about it. We can go Mimikyu down at this point. Evolve. go Clairvoyant Sense, place that onto the Alakazam, draw ourselves 2, we hit a Pokégear, that does give ourselves an Arven, where we can go Arven from here. I guess there's an argument that going for boss onto the Hoot is, like, not a terrible idea, but I think I'm fine just grabbing Unfair Stamp for when they knock out my Iron Thorns. I could also go Earthen Vessel, though, and I think that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Earthen Vessel onto the extra Alakazam. Get myself double energy. Then what I can do is go Ultra Ball, get rid of one of these and this, get myself the other Xatu. That way that's made. And go Clairvoyant Sense again. See what I'm able to find where I get myself a second Mimikyu, but also I can start going Dimensional Hand to begin my damage onto the Munkidori. Or, sorry, onto the Flareon. Now, they can knock out our Iron Thorns here, but again, I'm not really that worried about it. Yeah, them having the other Noctowl is like maybe bossing the Hoot to stop the Noctowls would have been a little bit more beneficial. But honestly, what I could do is bring in Alakazam, go Mind Jack, KO this, take 2 prizes, retreat back out on the following turn, go back into Mimikyu. Potentially could be the play. Ooh, they go for Unfair Stamp of their own. Ooh, good Sylveon play. That's actually very good. Iono down. Honestly, that doesn't really matter to us that much. But if they retreat here, bring in Sylveon. And go, like, Angelite. Pick up the Alakazam and the Xatu. That's definitely going to be a problem. Alright, so I think the play from here is we have to bring in Alakazam because otherwise, if we knock this out, they bring in the Sylveon, and then that's like a huge problem for us. We're going to go Nest Ball to get ourselves the Abra. Then what we'll do is go Clairvoyant Sense, just so that way we get 1 energy onto it. And then from here, we'll go Unfair Stamp. I was hoping to be able to pull Boss. That would be super ideal. But we'll go Artazon here. Get ourselves Munkidori. Energy down. Arven to have Ultra Ball for an upcoming turn. And then we'll go Mind Jack to get the KO. Take 2. With the whole process now being the fact that if they want to go for Magical Charm, that's fine. But we have to play around this Sylveon. Like, if we have to beat down the Sylveon, then that's just what we're going to have to do. Here's 0. That's fine. The more stuff they put on the bench, the stronger our Mind Jack is going to be. And what we're really hoping for is that the... Ooh, they go Angelite to get rid of that. Okay, that's fine. Because they're not going to be able to use that again on the upcoming turn. I'm going to hold on to the energy because I can go Ultra Ball for double Xatu later on. From here, I can go Mind Jack. 240, put this in position that I can retreat this out, KO it from the bench. I'll actually be able to KO it if they attack into me with anything, because I'll have Munkidori to move the damage. So on the upcoming turn, I can retreat this out, go Munkidori. I'm surprised they did that. Like, it gets rid of the draw engine for sure, but it does make things a little bit easier. Because now, if they attack into me, I can place the rescue board down, retreat, bring in... I can go Ultra Ball for Iron Thorns. They're going to concede as well. Okay. Weird choice. They probably should have gone like the Fairy Charm there. To attack into the Alakazam, going for the Angelite probably wasn't the best play they could have made. Yeah, I feel like there's definitely different ways they could have played that, but I also feel like we made the right call bringing in the Alakazam into the active, because it stopped them from being able to reshuffle it. And I think that was what they were hoping for. Like, I don't think they were anticipating us to go Mind Jack. But yeah, that was a way more fun variation of this game, but it definitely showed how much going Klefki there was a huge missed opportunity. Had we done that, I think the game would have been as easy as the first game was against the Flareon deck, but our matchup into Flareon does not seem that bad, considering like all our options. But yeah, that's going to be game number, technically 3, but really 2, because the first one, or the game in the middle, doesn't totally count. But yeah, we'll get into the breakdown in a second, and I'll see you guys there. Interesting that we ran into Flareon 2 games in a row. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the breakdown in a second. Peace. So, getting into the breakdown of Alakazam EX, I think this deck is a lot of fun to play, and is something that I think you could do pretty well at like a locals with or anything. Obviously, this deck isn't going to win any day 2s at regionals or even top of regionals or anything like that, but at locals you can become, you know, a kind of local legend by using this deck and having fun with it. So in terms of the fun category, 4 out of 5. I think it's a really interesting. Also, Dimensional Hand's just like something that we don't have in the game outside of this card, so it's just an interesting win con to be able to play around. And I would just say the only thing stopping it from being like a 5 out of 5 is I get that some people don't enjoy playing the stall or wall kind of fashion of cards, or like the having Iron Thorns around to kind of disrupt your opponent. Some people just don't find that fun, so I get that. Going into power, it's got to be a 3 out of 5. You're not really able to hit for too much. Dimensional Hand isn't great. Now, obviously, you can use Mind Jack, but that's not the primary attack that we're using. So, a lot of times you're going to be doing, 3-hit KOs on a lot of different stuff. You can run Max Belt if you want to add up a little bit more damage, but I find that what you're gaining, like, even when you're gaining extra damage, you're only turning things into 2 shots rather than 1 shot, or rather than 3 in most cases. So it's like, I don't find the value of it that great, but you can run it if you want. Consistency, I think that you have to kind of put this at a 3 out of 5 as well. The fact that you're relying on getting your Alakazam powered up, you have to kind of end up in matchups where your Iron Thorns is really profitable, or your Klefki is really profitable, or like your Mimikyus and stuff like that. being able to get into all your pieces can be a little bit awkward, but I feel like this deck, its early game is a little weak, but its late game, like its comeback potential is really good. But because of your early game consistency issues, like getting all your pieces together, getting everything set up and positioned right, you can struggle a little bit, so it definitely does take time to get used to as well. Going into matchups, I feel like you have a lot of awkward matchups where, like, you're not, because of the tools you have, you don't, like, auto-lose many matchups, but you also don't, like, auto-win any, if that makes sense. Your matchups are always this weird situation where, like, again, your comeback potential is really strong, so you can win like most matchups, but you also can lose them. It all just depends on how your opponent plays. Like, if they don't respect your pieces, then you're gonna have a way easier time. If they are playing respectful of your pieces, it can be a little bit rougher. In matchups that your opponent is able to one-shot your Alakazam, like just being able to boss it up can be really annoying. Decks that play a large amount of boss or you know, like prime catchers and stuff like that can be annoying to have to deal with. Things like Raging Bolt that's going to just sit there and boss up your Alakazam over and over can definitely be a pain. In that case, you can always just, you know, play just pure Mimikyu. But yeah, you have to play your matchups like really, really well. But yeah, overall, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. It's a really, really fun deck for locals, and I think you can have a lot of success for it. But is it gonna, like, you know, win you any major tournaments? Probably not. But it's a really fun deck, so I definitely give it a try if you're, like I said, going to locals and just want something to play, or you're just playing some casual games with some friends. This is a great thing to bring to the table and really shock your opponents. When they see it, they're not going to know what's going on. So yeah, that's just about it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Be sure to let me know which cards you want to see in the future, and I will see you all next time. Peace.